This is video number 84 for violin and viola players, and in this video we're going to learn to play number 139 in your Essential Elements Book 1. Okay, so be open to page 34 and ready to go. Now, again, before you attempt this, you should also have played your C major scale today, not just, oh, I played it last week or I played it yesterday. Play it today, and if you haven't, do it right before you play this, because you need to practice those low twos. You still get good at playing low two and stretching the threes, all right? Okay, 139, look at your key signature. Looks like there's nothing there. That is the key signature. Everything's natural. There are no sharps in C major, which is the name of our key. Time signature, 4/4 time. Nothing special about that. That's pretty normal. There's no repeats. No first and second ending like our last one. Pretty easy. Okay, now what's not going to be easy, there's a lot of jumping around here. Now we're going to get to one part where you're maybe going to recognize, you're going to be like, that sounds kind of familiar. We'll talk about that after we shadow bow it. Shadow bow from the beginning. Starts off kind of like a scale. People get messed up in measure 2 because it kind of ends like the arpeggio. You'll see what I mean. Shadow bow. 1, 2, 139, shadow bow. Low 2. Low 2. Low 2 in the A. Low 2. Stretch the 4. Okay, now I want you to look at measure 5. Measure 5 is a place you're probably like, hey, that sounds like something I heard before. It sounds like 125 in your book. Okay, it sounds like that. And if you look at the composers of these two, we don't really know who wrote it. This one, it says a Russian folk song. If you look at 125, the part that sounds like that is da 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 da, measure 9. Okay, measure 9, 10, 11, 12. That's the part to the end. Sounds like the ending starting at measure 5 of 139. They sound the same. So look at the composer of this one. Again, we don't know actually who wrote it. It's just one of those folk songs that someone started singing. This one says Far Eastern folk song. When you think of the Far East, think of the countries you might think of when you think of the Far East. Okay, we think of like Asia, we think of maybe China, Mongolia, Japan. Think about, if you don't know, I'll pull this up on my phone. If I was really good with technology, I could just switch and share a screen and whatever and show you on the internet. But I pulled this up on my phone. If you look at this little map right there, what is right above China? Russia. So now I am just making this up, but it's not unlikely. If you ever think about, if you've ever played that game Telephone, where you're in a group of people, you probably did in elementary school at some point, you're in a group of people, and one person whispers something to the next person, and they whisper to the next person, and by the time they get to the last person, it maybe has something to do with what the first person said, but not really. You probably played that game before. I think this is kind of what happened here, because part of that song maintained the same. But what happens with folk songs? Mama sings it to their little boy, they go sing it to their friend at school, their friend goes and sings it to their little brother, and they sing it to the kid down the street, and then it traveled either from, China to Russia, or Russia to China, or Mongolia, or wherever, and by the time it got there, the only part that stayed the same was the end, okay? Who wrote it first? Nobody knows. Nobody knows who sang it first and who actually remembered it first, but the beginning of it changed one way or the other, okay? We just don't know. But it's kind of an interesting thing to think about, how that happens with music as well, especially when it's not written down. This is why it's important to know how to read music, because you ever want to write a song, you want to write it down. You want to write a song, you want to put it down on paper so people can remember it and play it right, and so you can remember it and play it right. So reading and writing music is very, very important, especially if you ever want to compose your own music. Okay, so now just play the first 2 measures for me. Okay, you're going to echo in the first 2 measures, and when you're playing the G, I want you to try to reach ahead for the low 2. Okay? If you put all your fingers down here and then try to go for the low 2, and you have all these fingers down here, and then that's probably not going to work for you. However, if you'll just put your G down, I'm holding a violin. I'm going to put my finger in the middle just so I can pretend I'm holding on a viola or violin. But I have the 3rd finger down, and I'm going to reach ahead for my low 2. See that? G, C. Okay? If you do all of this, two things are going to happen. You're probably going to play very out of tune on that C natural. You're going to, actually 3 things. You might be late to that note. Okay? And then also you're going to get extra sounds. So again, independent finger is good for a lot of stuff. This is one of those, getting rid of extra sounds. Play measure 1 and 2. So I'm going to do C, D, E, F. As I put that G down, I'm going to pick the 2 up and move it over to the A string. Okay? Echo me, measure 1 and 2. 1, 2, ready, go. C, D, E, F, natural, G, reach ahead for the low 2 in the A, and so C natural in the A. Okay? Try that again, measure 1 and 2. 1, 2, ready, go. C, D, E, low 2, G, reach ahead for the low 2 and the A, low 2 and the A. Good. Do the next 2 measures. Measure 3 and 4, echo me. 1, 2, measure 3 and 4, go. A, B, C, A, G, then E. Okay, that's pretty easy, yeah? I think that's pretty easy. Do measure 5 and 6. 5 and 6, echo me, low 2 in the D, and here, put the low 2 down and then just stretch it for the 4. Don't put the 3rd finger down. You're going to get extra sounds, okay? Play those 2 measures. 1, 2, ready, go. F natural, F, reach to the 4. F now, E, E, G, E. Okay? Now the first 2 measures the second line. Echo. Go. D, D, F, D, C, then G. Now, if you've got a lot of extra sound between C and G, here's what I'm going to suggest to you. You try to put, it's a little bit harder to do with first finger than it is to do, with 3rd finger than it is to do with first finger. I'm going to suggest you put your finger down for C, but you kind of place it a little bit closer to your D string, and then just roll it over like that. Okay, violas, it would look like this. And violas, I apologize, one of the strings on my viola is broken, so I can't be playing the viola for a couple of days right now. So if you can do that, that's going to help you get rid of that extra sound. You gotta be careful because it might give you a funky tone if you don't have strong enough fingers, or it might make it flat. So that's why I suggest you you put it on the G string, but kind of close to the D string, and then you can just roll it over. All right, the rest of it's all repetitive. You might want to just pause the video and go and play whatever you need to play. Practice whatever you need to practice. We're going to play it. If you're ready, play it with me now from the beginning. And 1, 2, ready, and go. Now, nice low 2. Stretch the 4. Independent fingers work well here. See if you can roll this. 3, roll it. 1, take, 2, take, 3, take, off. Okay? Now, so this is the last, this whole page has been C major. Okay, these songs, you're going to be doing some more complicated things on the next page. Get really good at your low 2s and get really well in tune in C major before you attempt to move on to your next video. Okay, low 2 is very important to get into, big stretch here. Use the tuners as much as you can. Practice so you can't get it wrong.